So welcome everyone for this session. Today we will talk about immersive events because in my job it's something that I've been doing for a little while now. Just before we start, I will introduce myself quickly. I'm Antoine Galland. I'm based in France, as you can hear in my accent, close to Paris. I've been doing consultancy for 8 years, almost 10 in the Microsoft ecosystem. So to be just really quick, I've been involved in migration project for information systems such as SharePoint implementation, this kind of thing. And right now I'm working at Avanade. It's been 3 years exactly. And what I'm doing at Avanade is pretty interesting for me because I'm quite passionate about new technologies and emerging technologies. And actually what I'm doing is working with the Innovation Center when the role of it is pretty simple. It's we experience new technologies and we try to see how it can solve problems. And right now it's really going toward sustainability to be concrete. And in terms of technology, I will talk a little bit about immersive immersive event and spatialization. But also we deal with stuff like digitalization of the industry, putting digital twins in factories, these kind of things, and also decentralized identity and also tokenization and blockchain. So we try to see how those kind of technology they can solve problem we have right now and imagine the future basically. So today we will talk about immersive events. So it's something that we've been experiencing at the Innovation Center. I just took two different examples that are quite different, one from the other, to illustrate a little bit what we did. And I wanted to share with you the kind of question we ask ourselves while organizing this kind of events. It was during the end of last year. I'll put you the dates. And actually, we've been using Altspace VR, which is down now. So it's a platform where you can publish worlds, basically. So 3D model and 3D worlds. And people can join, basically. So the first one will be a talent acquisition event that we organized in October last year. I will spend more time on this one because I think the learnings and the overall event was really insightful, I would say. And also I will talk a little bit about the training session that we organize internally at Avanade in my company for basically a 1 week intensive training. So it was a regular training and we tried to we actually did a session during the last day for half an hour to invite the attendees basically to experiment in physical world, even if it's digital, but in physical world, the configuration they were doing on the ERP, and so that they could see each step of the process in physical factory basically. So let's start with the first one. So for the talent acquisition events, what I will do is explain a little bit what was the idea and how it went. And after I will just describe the steps that we performed basically to come up with this final idea. So the purpose of that event was really to, there was actually two purposes. The first one was to propose a differentiating experience because when you are recruiting, you are in competition with other companies, and it's always interesting to imagine some new ways to engage people during their recruitment process. So at some point we said, can we do something with the metaverse or with spatialization? So basically, we came up with organizing an event for quite a lot of people. So just to introduce the events, we had 20 staff members, so people from Avanade that were connected inside of the event to host and to talk to the attendees. We had almost 80 attendees that joined this specific event. Just to give you a little bit of a ratio of people invited compared to the people that joined. We had almost 400 people invited at the beginning. So it makes 20% almost of the people that could join the immersive event. And this event was targeting 6 countries. So you might know Avanade. So my company, we are a global company, and what we decided to do is to take 6 of the European country. So basically, it's France, Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. So 6 countries, and take basically all the people from the onboarding process or recruitment process. So people that were inside of Avanade for three weeks maximum, and people inside of the recruitment process, so doing interviews and stuff like that. So that was for the target and the staff member. So what we end up with was I think 1 hour and a half event, something like this. Yeah, almost 1 hour and a half. We choose to start the event with a regular Teams meeting because there was we identify really strong problems if we just send an invite to join a 3D environment. You know, people are not really used to connect and download the software. So we thought it would be better to start basically a Teams meeting, so a normal Teams meeting. So for the planning, we introduced the meeting with the leadership keynote. So we had the CEO from Galia, which is French, Belgium, and Netherlands, you know, explaining what it is to work in our company and explaining the values and stuff like that. And also his counterpart for SG, which is Germany, the other countries, so Germany, Switzerland, and Austria. So it was a 15 minutes, just a warm up to get some information from our leadership. And then after those 5 minutes, we basically shared the code to join the event and some guidance, and some people were there to make some support to help and assist the people in case they were having trouble to join the event. So from that, we completely closed the Teams meeting, and we switched to the Altspace VR 3D room basically that we created. So 15 minutes to welcome the people, because actually those 15 minutes, it's not it's something that we actually decided on purpose, because the time to download the software, if the people did not do it before the meeting, we calculated it was something like 7 minutes. So we said, okay, 15 minutes to download the software and join the meeting, and you know, be familiar with the way of moving and listening to people. It will be fine. And then the core of the event were the 30 minutes Q&A, and actually some content also proposed by each countries. So I'll show you a little bit more. It's just the beginning to give you the planning, and I'll show you really how it went. But just to tell you, really the objective was to engage people in the recruitment process, and so that they can ask some question with people from their domestic countries, 1 person from a talent acquisition team, and 1 person from actually an old employee, let's call it like this. So someone that have an answer to most of your question, basically. And we left the world open for 20 minutes at the end of the event, just for people to enjoy, basically, because we did put some games and stuff like that. And it was also a good moment to get some feedback, because it was really an experiment, and the objective was to hear from the attendees how it went, and was it interesting for them and stuff like that. So we produce a little video. This way you can really see how it went. I think you should also hear the music. There is nothing crazy with the sound, but so it's a 2-minute video, so you can see a little bit how it went and how it was. I'll explain after. Okay, so it was to show you a little bit more about how it went during the events. So right now, the idea is to explain you how we came up with this idea, because at the beginning we just had the idea to say, okay, let's organize an event, but how it came to life, and how we designed the thing so everyone was aligned with it. So the first thing we did is to find the core team. So to make it super quick, the thing is, the idea came from our director in the talent acquisition team. And what we wanted to do is to involve most of the people from the talent acquisition teams around those countries. But we had a pretty interesting risk, because it corresponds to 30 people, something like this. So you can imagine, when you are designing something, basically a 3D world, it's quite difficult to validate everything with 30 people. So the idea was to identify everyone. So you have the sponsor at the top. I was in charge of designing the world, and also keeping track of the timing, the deadlines and stuff like that. So more in the PM side of the project. And also, I had one guy from the French talent acquisition team that was in charge of coordinating all the people from the different countries. So the talent acquisition people from um, from different countries. And actually, I was also in charge of taking care of the employee, that was invited also. So one employee for each country, and one talent acquisition team member from each country. So I was in charge also to onboard them, to make them experience the technology, so that they can project themselves, basically, and be, fine during the events. So the first part was really to identify all those stakeholders in the project. And I tell you a little bit about the risk of being too many people. So the strategy was really to have a simple core team with basically three people: me, the director for talent acquisition, and the coordinator, let's say the French coordinator for all the country, in the design and validation steps only. But at the beginning, we wanted to have insights and ideas from everyone. So we organized a pretty big meeting and used a software called Mural. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Just to introduce it quickly, it's basically some kind of um, post-it oriented tool. And what we did is, I think it was 2 hours and something, a bit more than 2 hour workshop, asking them question what they think would be interesting for the people inside of the onboarding process, and people also inside of the recruitment process, so doing interviews and stuff like that, so what they would expect. And basically, because they are really in touch with those people, they had quite a lot of insights about questions they were asking. What are the value? What it is like to work in such a company? You can have some ideas, but in reality, how it was. So the thing is, what we identify with this, we identify that it would be interesting, and much more interesting, that a regular meeting, let's say, inside of Teams, for instance, or stuff like that, to organize something where people were really free to move and talk to different people, and not all converging inside of a single place, because when you are inside of a meeting, like right now, we are all converging to a single discussion. We could be 100 in the meeting. It's really difficult to talk all together, and at the same time, basically, it's just not doable. And that was really the key element from the immersive spaces, the key element of the technology that it could bring. So we really tried to leverage this, and identified it at the very beginning of the project. So basically, we did a 2 hour workshop to really get all the ideas, and we started to build the planning based on those ideas. I'll move a little bit forward. If we look at the designing phase, so it's really part of my job. I like four big steps that we ran through while designing the 3D space towards the event. So the first step was really to be aligned with the overall layout of the thing. So we came up with a big circle. Those P correspond to countries. So the idea was to say, okay, it's better for people to talk in their domestic language and to identify quickly who are the person in their country so they can ask questions and really get in touch with those people and identify it visually uh, straight when they connect to the world. So we all came up with this, we were all sorry, aligned with this idea. And also what we thought would be interesting is to put some games and entertainment in the middle um, of the circle. sorry for sorry for that. Okay, so it was the main idea, and once we were all aligned with this idea, I started building the world with all the textures and stuff like that, and we did think about how to brand basically the space. So obviously using logos, but also some values and a picture from every country. So at the end, what we came up with is to put one picture of the offices in each country close to the country dedicated space, basically, and some values and stuff that we believe in, and that makes the culture inside of our company. And also we tried some different models. So I don't know if you're familiar with building 3D world. So basically we were using Unity, and there is a limitation that you have to take in consideration. It's the size of your world. I'll just illustrate it quickly. If we use quite a lot of different 3D models and different textures, it will enlarge the time, the size of the world, and for the user, the time to download basically the 3D world. So the idea was uh, to validate some kind of trees, some glasses and tables and stuff like that, and try to use the same every time. So it's quite it's much more quick to download for the people when they are connecting. So we tried some different texture, and we came up at the end with really simple textures and reuse the logo, as much as we could, so that the downloading experience once the people are joining, it was really quick. So we had a little survey at the end just to tell you, and people were able to connect. So download the software after the Teams meeting and connect to the world in something like 7 minutes. So really as expected. So that was it for the let's say the design. The design part of the experience. There are some learnings that were really crucial in the success of this event. So at the end, it was really a success when we compare the warm feedback from the event and also a survey that we did afterward. The people were really excited, and actually there were the reason why they connected to this event. It's more to try because they were curious more than wanted to ask specific question or get some talk from our company and see the culture and stuff like that. It was really to experience the immersive space, basically. So the K-learning, there is something that is really important, and I think also nowadays, even if it's there was quite a lot of buzz inside of for the metaverse and spatial experience. There is something that is for me it was really not really clear at the beginning, but because I used to play video game a little bit, so I'm familiar with moving with keyboard, the 3D sound, when you move away from someone, the sound of his voice is much lower, this kind of thing. And it's not the case for everyone, basically. So the first thing that really was crucial inside of the designing phase is really to um, to make people try the technology. So we build a simple world just for the people inside of Havana to understand what we can do and how is it better than a regular meeting, basically. And so for the attendee, it's exactly the same thing. You don't know exactly what level of experience they have with this kind of technology. And what we did is inside of the invitation, so we send a branded but regular Teams meeting invitation. And inside of this invitation, we did provide some guidance, basically something that could not be super obvious, but wearing a headset is something that is crucial in your experience. If you don't have a headset, if you're just using your regular sound output, it's the experience is not great at all. So this kind of thing, and also the way to move inside of the space, and also some guidance to download before the event the software. So you, for sure, not everyone will do it, but at least you get a chance for people to join quicker and to have a better experience. So I said, yeah, start with a regular meeting. Really, it was key for us because the risk was too high to let people be by themselves, to download everything and join the meeting. If you just send a code to join a meeting in Altspace VR, we would have much less people because the support team for 10 minutes after the first meeting was they were helping quite a lot of people. Also for the designing phase, we were quite time boxing, and I was actually the only one to work on designing, let's say, the world. So the thing, as I mentioned at the beginning of the talk, really, it's we have to keep the team really small and to identify quickly who can validate things, the design, the overall experience, what we want to provide. For Havana, because they also for a company uh, image, and branding, we should be aligned also with that. So have the latest materials, the message we carry on the different image should be aligned. Also, I mentioned it, but make sure everyone experiences the technology at really the beginning. So for all the people involved inside of the company, to design this event, we started straight by okay, wear a headset, try with your laptop as well, and connect to a 3D world so you can really see what it is. There is an avatar experience. You can build your avatar at the beginning. You can move. You can yeah, interact with the object and stuff like that. So it's really interesting to show them so they can have super good ideas because at the end, I'm just a designer. I'm not someone that is in touch with people in the recruitment process or onboarding every time. So it was good to leverage their ideas. And also for the host, so we had people from the talent acquisition team that were involved really at the beginning, and they were identified to be host during the event for that domestic country, basically. But the people, the employee that we wanted to be an host as well for the event for each countries, it was I took a really like 1 hour with each of them just to explain how they can move, how they can mute themselves, speak louder. So also you have some event-oriented features in Altspace VR, so you can talk and everyone can hear you, and there is some specific feature, let's say. So it was interesting for them to know it was working and how it did work, basically, so they felt confident with being an host at the event. So I went a little bit fast. I just wanted to go through all the points. So really feel free to ask questions about this event. I'll go to the next one. But really, I tried to make it concise so it takes not more than 1 hour. But this way you have the let's say the main crucial steps and an idea how it went, and thanks to the video and the illustration, you see a little bit more. There is just one thing that I want to highlight before to switch to the second event. So we were using Altspace VR, which is done now, and there were there was a little limitation, which is still important. Basically, when you publish a 3D world, it makes so it's you can connect to this world using a code. And if more than 50 people connect to the world, there is a second room. So basically, it means that the people after the 51 person that joined the meeting will be alone inside of the world. He will not be able to interact with the other people. So the really during the event, there was something that was quite hard to handle is the actually to identify what people is in what country and put them in the same room. So at the beginning of of the event, it was super easy. There was not so many people, but at some point, people started to join. And before to start the main phase, so the question and answer and basically launch the main part of the events, we had to re-identify people that were in different countries and put them inside of the same room. So basically, we saw that we had much less people from Switzerland and Austria. So we decided to put them inside of a dedicated room. So that was the way we did it. But it was not really easy to do it. So obviously, we will see in the coming platform, the new platform to publish one, if this limitation is still the same. And to tell you, if we think we will organize another one, we might go for dedicated rooms and basically dedicated places. And inside of the invitation, we just send the invitation for a specific country so that we lower the risk of having too many people. But actually, we thought we would have less than 50 people because of the ratio of invitation and people willing really to join. So it was a bit more than we expected, but basically at the end we handled this technical limitation. So we'll see in the different platform. I know some platform that have don't have really this kind of limitation, and some like Mesh for Teams that have another limitation for people inside of the immersive experience. So that was it for the first one. I also wanted to share a little bit of another experiment that we did. So really, it's inside of the innovation center. So it's not something that we did for clients basically yet, but we wanted to experiment something around training and not really I'd say use a software that already exists for, let's say, soft skills or talking in public. You know, that this kind of application already exists. We really wanted to design something that was aligned and uh, that we could use inside of the training we do inside of our company. So I was in touch with someone doing training, so a trainer inside of Havanet for the ERP talent community, so the ERP practice, people working on configuring and setting up ERP. And what we decided to do, so the guy was doing a training for 1 week, so 5 days of training, and all the trainings were hosted by a Teams meeting, and the guy was sharing his screen, showing the configuration. So an ERP, basically, it's we need to configure. I'll make it simple to configure some steps when you're in a factory. You receive some products. You need to go through different steps to packaging at the end. So it could be quality insurance. To put them in different places. And actually, those people, they are doing it inside of a software. So they don't really understand the physical aspect of this kind of process. And what we thought would be a good idea is at the end of the training, so after they understand all the configuration, the different steps, once you receive a product, you have to put it away from the box. Then you go to the quality insurance. There is a check which is random. There is some kind of rules behind this. and we wanted to show them inside of a 3D world the different steps and how they are physically inside of a factory. So the thing was really simple for me because I already had a factory 3D model that we used for another project. So I took exactly the same and we rearranged you know, the places for the different steps basically to represent actually the process they were working on for this specific training. So we had one trainer and six trainees for this experiment. We choose to use a headset for this essentially a headset. So it was the Oculus headset for this experiment, just to see how it will go. Just to tell you, when you are working, yeah, experiencing with the headsets, right now the technology doesn't allow you to take some notes and stuff like that. So it was really the main thing that was really um, the reason why we just decided to have 30 minutes physical representation after you learn the different topics that were covered in the trainings, just to have a physical basically representation of the factory, and not really share screen inside of a 3D experience. It was really not the objective. The objective was just to see concretely in a physical world how the different steps will go through, or people actually inside of the factory will go through performing the different steps and put information in the ERP. So for this one, uh, actually, so I already talked about the not being able to take some notes. It was really a pain point, let's say, because when you are inside of a training, there is always ideas that you want to write down because it connects with something else that you did see during the training. But actually, it was really insightful because at the end of the experiments, you know, the people that were following the training and also the trainer just realized that actually when you are working in a quite big project, you know, ERP project, they last for 1 year plus usually, because it's quite long process to implement in companies and to duplicate in different factories. And we realized that it was really interesting for you know when you onboard people in such a project, you know, the amount of information you have to understand to be efficient and start working is quite big, let's say. And we thought it would be really a good idea to use this kind of work to onboard people, you know, when they are joining the project, so they can see without having to move to travel to the factory. They can see actually how the factory is designed, and then they are much more fluent to configure, you know, the different steps and the basically the ERP aligned with this physical representation of the world. So we thought it would be a really good idea. And actually, we started to create 3D worlds representing factories that we have with our clients for this purpose, and also for prototyping. Because you know, when you are trying to build a factory, there's always a will to standardize and to actually duplicate the same factory, so every of your factory looks almost the same. And then if you implement a tool to pilot and to manage the production line or this kind of thing, it's always easy if it's exactly the same layout and a physical factory. So there is at some point there is a good scenario where it's useful. It's when you are prototyping, you are imagining what your factory and or production line could look like, and using 3D world for that, it's quite interesting because you don't have to move any physical stuff. You just have to design you know, to take the size of your factory, and then you just build some pieces that you can move around and find a way to optimize it for the production line, basically. So before to build the factory, it was really we really think it's a good use case to actually prototype and design the factory before actually building it. Okay, so that was it for me. Obviously, I went quite fast on many stuff, so feel free completely to ask questions. And also, there is a uh, little app, I think, to rate the session. So please take the time to do it. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Antoine, for this cool session, and it's very fast. You have much input. Yes, very much input, but
Yeah.
it was a fantastic and cool session. So, attendees, if you have questions, raise your
Yes,
hand,
Siwan.
ask this question in chat. I have checked the chat at the moment. There are not questions,
Yeah, I see a
always
question.
information.
Yeah, I
So
see a
if you want,
question from Alexander. Maybe he's asking, will you be organizing another such event? So I think for the talent acquisition event, you are asking it. Actually, it's not planned. We have a word that is okay. The thing is, we use the Altspace VR, as I mentioned. This software is not is done. It's dead basically. And I think we need to see. The coming platform. I'm really excited about Mesh for Teams, but there is I already know there is a limitation in the amount of people that we could invite. But I'm pretty sure we could organize some, but not the same one. You know, not an event with 6 countries, quite a lot of attendees. I think it's not what we will do. We might do something with a dedicated people. You know, I think it's the limit. It's 16 people or 12 people. I don't remember for Mesh for Teams, but we could experiment it just for dedicated people. And actually, it would be a much easier, I would say, to organize if it's just a country per country. And I really believe in putting people inside of a 3D space. It's you know, you can have side conversation, live reactions without really polluting, I would say, the meeting, because it could be really side from side. You know, with specialization. So I think it's something that we will do, but right now Mesh for Teams is quite new. So I'm pretty sure we'll experiment it on Mesh for Teams, but on a country level, I would say, just to make it simple.
okay, cool, cool. Yes, another question from the attendees. If
And the 50 people limit, yeah, and there's not a question, but it was really pain in the ass to tell you.
it's
Right.
an information.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, at some point, all the platform might have this kind of limitation. We have to see, because most of the video game, you know, in the open worlds, they allow a massive amount of people to get connected together. So I'm still optimist about this, because I think it has a place in the professional world, you know, to organize quite big events. We do it in real life, so at some point it could be meaningful to do big events with you know, conferences, exactly like what we do right now, but inside of a 3D space. Just wait for the technology to to be aligned.
Oh,
And the participants,
wie war das?
yeah, last question
Yeah,
from Alexandre quickly. The
yeah.
participants from the training session, I guess, because of the time you posted the question. So I'll do it for the feedback of the training session. Maybe it's they were quite interested, but we realized inside of a training session, really to learn something, it could be quick. If it's quick, okay, let's dive into a 3D world and really see how the production line is designed, and so it makes sense about what we are configuring. It's fine, it's quick, but really to host, you know, 5 days of training inside of a 3D space, it would be really too difficult. You know, just wearing a headset, I don't think you can wear it for more than 1 hour and something. really. Without the battery limitation, just for the cognitive experience, it's too much. But they were really enthusiastic. You know, it's my job is really to envision and to make people in front of some emerging technologies and see their ideas, and they were really excited. Just the thing is, okay, what exactly can we do with the technology? And I said, yeah, prototyping for me is really good, and also onboarding. There is a 3D representation somewhere of the factory. You can go there, introduce it to you, blah blah blah, and on demand, I would say. But it was fine.
Okay, that makes sense. Yes. Okay, then I want to share my screen again. I want to say, Antoine, thank you for this great
Yeah.
session. It was very cool, very informating for me about the system and what's going on. Thank you for this.